Right, Nepal. When you think of Nepal, you probably picture Mount Everest, maybe a serene monk, or perhaps a tourist with a backpack the size of a small car, looking profoundly lost. It's a place that sells itself on postcards as the pinnacle of peace and ancient wisdom. But right now, on this very day, September 9th, 2025, the streets of its capital, Kathmandu, look less like a tranquil yoga retreat and more like an extremely polite but very, very angry flash mob. Thousands of people are trading their prayer flags for protest signs, and the serene mountain air is currently thick with the sound of chanting, which, and this is key, is not the meditative om you might be expecting. The country, for those of you who slept through geography class, is a relatively young republic, having tossed out its monarchy back in 2008. Think of it like a teenager who has finally moved out of their parents' ridiculously old drafty castle, and is now trying to figure out how to pay bills, do laundry, and not set the kitchen on fire. This transition to democracy has been, to put it mildly, a bit bumpy. It's a complex tapestry of over 125 ethnic groups and languages, all crammed between two giant, perpetually staring neighbors, China and India. And like any family gathering with that many people, disagreements are not just likely, they are basically a scheduled event. So, what's happening is that the fragile peace that has held the nation together is showing some serious cracks. Well, for starters, let's talk about the new Citizenship Amendment Bill. On paper, it's supposed to streamline the process for obtaining citizenship, except it's been criticized for making it incredibly difficult for children of single, Nepali mothers to get citizenship. It's also been criticized for being suspiciously lenient for foreign women married to Nepali men. It's a classic case of an outdated law, like something from the 1950s photocopied and dropped in a puddle. That has infuriated women's rights groups, and a large part of the population feels it's fundamentally discriminatory. Then there's the Guthi Bill, hugely unpopular. The bill aimed to nationalize the Guthis. Guthis manage land, temples, and public spaces. These trusts are the cultural bedrock, especially for the newer people in the Kathmandu Valley. The government tried to take over a centuries-old system. People saw it as an attack on heritage, as a clumsy cash grab, and they refused to accept it. On top of that, there's everyday corruption and incompetence. There are allegations of embezzlement of COVID relief funds, corrupt officials taking advantage during a crisis, basic infrastructure projects drag on, roads remain full of potholes, youth unemployment is driving young people abroad, and finally, the economy is crushing people. Inflation is making everyday life a struggle. Prices of essentials, cooking oil, lentils, are up. Fuel prices have shot up, wages stay stagnant, Nepali families are worn down by the daily grind. People are on the streets because they are tired, frustrated, and demanding a competent government. Now, protesting in Nepal has its own unique flavor. It's not always the chaotic, window-smashing affair you might see elsewhere. Often it's highly organized, and at times surprisingly festive. The main stage for these civic dramas is the heart of Kathmandu, Maidagar Mandala, the streets leading to the Parliament building in Baneshwar. You'll see a cross-section of society, university students with revolutionary zeal, seasoned activists who've seen it all, grandparents who have decided retirement can wait. The methods are diverse, mass rallies, thousands marching with banners and witty rhyming slogans, sit-ins, occupying public spaces for days, whistle protests, collective noise to wake the government, satirical performances, street theater, poetic recitals that mock the powerful. Who are these protesters? Doctors, nurses, farmers demanding fair prices and access to fertilizers, young graduates seeing no future at home, the newer community guarding cultural heritage. This isn't driven by a single political party. Anger points at all major parties. The demands are simple. Scrap the controversial bills, real accountability for corruption, economic relief for ordinary citizens, leaders who actually listen. They're not asking for a revolution. They just want the state to start working for its people. So where does all this go? Well, there are a few potential paths, and none of them involve a magical yeti appearing to solve everything. In the best case scenario, the government gets the message. It bows to public pressure, withdraws the most offensive legislation, makes a genuine, visible effort to tackle corruption, address economic grievances. This would be a huge victory for people power, could restore some faith in the democratic process. It would prove that in Nepal's young republic, the voice of the street can still be louder than the chatter in the halls of power. However, there's a less rosy alternative. The government could choose to dig in its heels, ignore the demands, wait for the protests to lose momentum. Or in a more worrying turn, it could resort to a heavy-handed crackdown, using force to clear the streets. This would escalate tensions dramatically, deeply damage the country's democratic fabric, send a chilling message that dissent is not welcome. Why should you, a person likely sitting thousands of miles away, care about this? First, because Nepal is a strategically vital country wedged between two global superpowers, India and China, both watching closely. An unstable Nepal creates a vacuum its giant neighbors could fill, which has massive geopolitical implications. A stable, democratic, and prosperous Nepal is a positive force for the region, a buffer, a partner, a success story. Ultimately, this is a story about the universal struggle for dignity, justice, and a government that works. The people on the streets of Kathmandu are not asking for the moon. They are asking for the basics: fair laws, honest leaders, a chance at a decent life. Their fight